How do I do this? Oh, enter the next one. Hello, hello. My name is Yuko Kawanishi, and I'm happy to see all of you. Thank you for coming. Let me tell you a little bit about myself. I'm a sociologist. I've been a sociologist and been a faculty in mostly international programs and also the study abroad program. And out of sociology, I specialize in the area called medical sociology and sociology of mental health. So I've been studying, researching and also teaching in this international program where the English is the language of instruction. And I got kind of carried away and I decided to go into clinical as well. So I went back to school, and I myself is also a product of a study abroad. I've studied 3 different graduate schools in the United States. But to make a long story short, I got myself a clinical training back in the States, and I came back a year and a half ago, being a counselor at Lakeland College, as well as continue to teach in different programs elsewhere. So I wear 2 hats: academic researcher, sociologist, as well as a clinician. So today I want to talk about this mental health issues in global higher education. And let me first tell you that I would like to stress, first of all, that globalization of higher education is an exciting phenomenon, and it definitely offers various opportunities and alternatives, and possibly a great future for young people today. And when I look back my time, like several decades ago, study abroad, in my case, studying in the United States, was, first of all, limited to a maybe selected few. And also, when it's done, it would usually cost a lot of sacrifice, financial cost, and also a personal sacrifice. So it's not like that anymore. And so I think it's, first of all, a great thing. But let me first show you how the global education, higher education is being a reality today. No question that there's been an increase of people all over the world studying abroad, crossing national boundaries. And the number of post-secondary students study outside of their home country, the figure I got is almost 4.5 million. And for the last almost 10 years, it seems to have more than doubled. And also it is predicted to rise to 7 million by the age of 2020, the year of the Olympic. This is about the general, young people in the college education all over and crossing their national boundaries. And the main destination is, number 1, is the United States remains to be the most popular destination, accommodating about 17% of all so-called foreign students worldwide. The second is the United Kingdom, 13%, and Australia, 66%, and Germany, and then followed by France. But there are also newcomers, new popular destinations, and such as in the last several years, Canada attracting more students, and Japan is attracting a lot more students from overseas, and also Russia, as well as Spain, seems like. So, and then as for Japan, number of international students in Japan has been increasing as well, as you can see. And as of 2011, they're estimated to be, the ones registered. The total number of so-called international students in Japan is 138 and 75. And then there are mostly coming from the People's Republic of China, Korea, Taiwan, and but no question that it is increasing. And I think it was in sometime in 1990s that the Japanese government was setting this national goal of we need to attract foreign students from all over the world, and let's aim at 100,000 foreign students in the United States. But that was then. It's just surpassed very easily, and I'm sure there was a big drop around the time of the disaster, earthquake, but it did come back. And seems like we are really getting, seeing a lot more foreign students and the presence of international students, you could say, in Japanese universities is becoming a common thing. That's good. As for number of students from Japan, Japanese studying abroad, this is really an issue. Well, let me first show you the number. Number as of, it's a bit old, sorry. As of 2010 is a little more than 40,000. And top 5 destinations and total number of students for each, top 5 destinations, including the United States, remains to be the most popular destination. UK, Australia, Canada, a bit of Germany, but overwhelmingly English-speaking countries. And we all know that Japanese government is now concerned that the number of Japanese students interested in going abroad is decreasing. And some of you mentioned that you're working on this, I'm sure, and you're working on this too. This is another issue and why they're just so much, so much lost to their interest in going abroad, which is really a big issue of my interest too. What is the psychology of young people today? Because when I was a college student several decades ago, of course I was a bit strange student, but I was really eager to go abroad and trying to find some ways to get out, and school did not help me out, and I was always eager to find information. So, but now, there are lots of opportunities and options offered for Japanese students, and they don't really have to take advantage of that. And that's, as a social psychologist, this is one of the really interesting issues for me to look into. But anyway. But then also interesting thing that's happening in many Japanese universities, like exactly what you're doing, really creating so-called globalized program or international program for the Japanese students, as well as to, so that they can attract American students from other countries, incorporating various English language classes conducted in English languages, as well as requiring Japanese students to study abroad at least a portion of their time before they graduate. So I would like to really, I cannot stress, personally, a person like me, this is an exciting place. Again, compared to mine today's young people are blessed. But I would like to present the main point of my presentation today is that although it's exciting, it also involves risk. And because it is a stressful process, and stress often causes illness, right? So I like to discuss the risks of, being in the risks of promoting and accepting, promoting global higher education, as well as accepting students from all over the world, and institutionally, what is the risk for institution, and what is the risk for the individual student? Why do I think it's a risk? Okay. I mean, most students are. There are several reasons why I think this globalized higher education contains risk. First of all, we're talking about mostly young people. And young people are often in a vulnerable stage, in a formative period of time, which coincides with the period in which mental illness is likely to start showing the earliest signs and symptoms. And there is a very solid, large, famous non-profit organization called let's see, in the United States, National Institute of Mental Illness, and I'm quoting exactly, and this is sort of well-known fact among those people who are in this field. About 50% of all lifetime mental illness cases begin by the age of 14. And 3/4 of so-called mental illness have begun by the age of 24. And when we think about illness, we tend to think about, as we get older, we become middle-aged and older, we started to be worried about various physical ailments attacking us and then influencing the quality of our life. But mental illness are the chronic diseases of the young people that we have to really be careful. We should know. I mean, the most common serious, not the common, I'm sorry, the most serious and relatively known mental illness is so-called schizophrenia. And schizophrenia is definitely an illness that happens in the early part of the patient's life. Definitely in early adolescence, late adolescence, if not by early 20s, young adult. So so we have to keep that in mind. And next is next thing I want to mention is that aside from mental illness issues, okay, being in a higher education itself is a very stressful thing nowadays. Again, I'm kind of skewed toward the statistics from the United States because that's the area, that's the country that I'm most familiar with, and I also got a training with. But just to share with you some statistics from the United States, again from another organization called National Alliance on Mental Illness. And more than 25% of college students in America have been diagnosed or treated by a professional for mental health conditions within the last year. It's very common. And 1/4, and more than 80% felt, they say, that they're overwhelmed by what they have to do in college. And 45% have felt things were hopeless. And 73% living with a mental illness condition, mental health conditions, experienced a mental health crisis on campus. But yet, 45% of young adults who stopped attending college, they did not. So I'm sorry. Yet, nevertheless, many of them did not really seek out proper help. And then 45% of a little less than 50% of the young adults who stopped attending college did so because of mental health related issues. And then 50% of them did not have an access. I guess there was an mental health service available, but they didn't really dare to seek out help or support. So and then also more than 1,000 college students, 1,100 college students' lives are claimed by suicide. They commit suicide. So the point is that mental health problems are the leading cause for dropping out, and mental health is the greatest factor for academic success. Right? And also I have been following up various epidemiological data from the United States, especially higher education, college education, and it's really comes back over, again and again how college students in the United States are stressed out, and because of that mental health problems, they just can't continue or graduate. And okay, and that's for Japanese students. How about Japanese students? Okay, I haven't really been able to find the equivalent national study or the studies on the mental health situation of Japanese university students and overall general picture in the same way that I was able to find from the United States. But there was one study some years ago targeting quite a number of students, both undergraduate and graduate, in 60 Japanese national universities. And according to them, 10% of them suffer from depression. Depression is probably the most common mental disorder among young people and college students. And there's no question that, I think, I have a feeling that this is very underestimated. I get there's, because this is one of the very rare studies targeting the nationwide, as much as they can find, the support from the university institution in terms of conducting such research. But I have a feeling much underestimated, and it's actually far more. And people just don't go to seek help. And so there's that barrier in Japan too. But it's no question that people concerned, staffs and professional people concerned with the mental health services on campus in Japan say that the greatest reasons for students, Japanese students, dropping out of school is one of the greatest reasons for dropping out the program is their mental health issues, as well as financial issues. And most common problem is mood disorder, which is like depression, and others are more serious psychotic disorders such as schizophrenia. And then also greatest cause of death is suicide when they did suffer from mental illness. And okay, so far. Yeah. So you can imagine, so being in this sort of particular stage of life, and also coming, being being a college student and being in higher education, if you combine this, in addition to 1 and 2, stress of being exposed to a foreign environment for the sake of pursuing higher education can greatly increase the risk of mental illness. So I don't need to tell you that there's definitely a high stress of moving